Welcome everybody. I'm about to add Miss Chrystale. Stay. Hopefully this stays. Okay. Hi. How are you?
I'm good. How about you?
Girl, surviving quarantine right now.
Look, all gorgeous. Look, you all glammed up. I'm over here like,
No, you don't understand. All day I'm like, okay, what am I gonna wear? How am I gonna talk to her? Oh my god, I hope I don't have this heavy New York accent. I'm just trying to be classy.
be yourself. Be yourself because I'm gonna be myself.
Good.
So be yourself. Be comfortable. Look, we all quarantining. Okay,
Yeah.
together.
Well, nice to meet you. My name is K. Dot. And welcome to Urban News. We are so grateful to have you. You don't understand. We are super excited to, get to know you a little bit more.
That's great. I look good. I'm glad you all had me. I'm glad you reached out to me. I'm glad you were able to give me this quarantine is doing some things for some people because hey, if it was a quarantine, I'd be too busy. I'd be like, who is that? I don't know.
Yes. Oh my god, I don't know. I know it's hot down there in Georgia, right?
Huh?
I know it's hot down there in the South, right?
You know what? It's been moderate. Like the weather hasn't been bad. Like it's been really great weather, which is crazy because we can't go anywhere to be out in it. But it's been good weather. It hasn't been like ridiculously hot because Georgia does get like
scorching hot.
Yeah, swing low. Like a slave hot.
Yeah, and I'm in New York right now, so the weather is like it's starting to get warm, and I don't know what to wear. I don't know if I should wear my Uggs, a hoodie, a sweater, sweatpants. It's confusing right now.
Just pajamas. Pajamas.
Let's get in the house. But
Yeah.
so I just wanted to, before we get into it, I just wanted to just to make sure that you're good, especially in quarantine. How's life with you? Especially I know you said that it was warm outside, but I know you can't go nowhere. But how's life in general?
Yeah, things are good. I haven't had anyone that is directly. Well, let me say this. I haven't had anyone in my family that has been directly affected with the virus. However, a couple days ago, like right before we had when our governor was like, okay, we're going to lift this quarantine, we're going to start opening things back up, I knew I wasn't about to jump right out and get into it. So I was like, I'm not going to do that, but it's going to be a really nice weekend coming up. Maybe I'll just have a couple friends come over that I know have been quarantining, and we just, get together, have some drinks, chill outside. And so I reached out to one of my best friends and I was like, hey, this is what I'm thinking about doing. And she was like, you know what? I would really love to, but like my brother-in-law like just died.
Oh my God.
Like, and I met him and I know him. And I was like, are you kidding me? Like,
wow.
Are you serious? She's like, yeah. Like, she was like, he 1 week he was sick and then he went into the hospital and then, yeah. And I was like, okay, yeah, no, I'm not gonna do that. Like I don't want to be the one to be like, come over and then
you get somebody get sick.
And somebody gets sick.
Yeah.
So that shut that down. I just thought it was like me and my husband. That's like, okay, this is what we doing.
Yeah, well, I had an older cousin too. She was sick before, but she just passed away too. They had a funeral yesterday. So yeah, I know. Yeah, people are just really like, I hate to use this phrase, but dropping like flies during this pandemic.
Yeah.
One day they're fine, they go out, they come back, and they're sick. And then once they get into the hospital, they you can't reach them, you can't speak to them. That's it. Yeah.
And it's very scary. That part is very, very scary. So it's like, as much as we want to get back to the norm and jump back into things and be positive and, God got me. We also have to be responsible. You know what I'm saying? We gotta have, God got us, but we gotta have some sense.
We gotta have ourselves first.
Yeah. So I'm sorry to hear that. I hope that you are taking the precautions and You know,
I
because
am,
y'all
girl.
know.
Well, first of all, I wanted to get into, you started a YouTube channel, and
Yeah.
I was binge watching it. Like, I was binge watching it because you have such a big personality, and I think when people think of you, they don't get to see the inside of you. They just see one part, you know. And I'm happy that you opened up, and it's kind of like you're vlogging, you're letting this inside your life. So,
Yeah, yeah.
what made you want to start a YouTube channel?
To be honest with you about that, I've always been, I'm kind of quirky, and people, like you said, a lot of people wouldn't know that about me if they just see the character that I play, and which the most memorable character is Ronnie. But
Mm-hmm.
if they looked at maybe my other things that I've done, like right now I have Rich and the Ruthless, which is on UMC channel that I did with
Yeah.
Victoria Rawl and Richard Brooks. So I play a really quirky, funny character on there because it's people that know that side of me. And so like my friends and people that have worked with me closely, they do know that
Mm-hmm.
side of me. They're always like, you need to do a one-woman show. You need to do a comedy thing. You need to do, and I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, no, I would not, I would never. And I'm kind of private in a way, like I'm pretty private. Like I don't like a
Yeah.
whole lot of attention, so to speak, because I'm not like the Atlanta. You know, Atlanta. When you're in Atlanta, they be like everybody looks like the housewives. Like you coming out beat, like you
Yes.
coming out. You know you
Dressing
stepping
up.
out
I
of a
know,
role.
Lisa. Uh-huh.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh no, I can't live up to that, honey. So I'm just gonna be over here in my little place, chilling, you know. So one of my friends, when we started having this quarantine, I was like, oh my God, I'm kind of getting a little bit like creatively crazy, and I love to cook. So I was like, maybe I'll just do a little cooking thing and put it on Instagram just because, and so I just did it. And then one of my friends that in LA reached out to me and was like, you need to start a YouTube channel, like you really should. And I was like, what? I was like, I have a channel that I put up years ago, but I never put anything on there.
Yeah.
He was like, no, you really should, you know, just see how it goes. He was like,
Mm-hmm.
because you know, you may be surprised. So I was like, okay, I'll start posting stuff over there. So that's kind of how it came about. It really was just not thought out. It was random. As you can see from the
Yeah.
video, it's very, let me set this phone
Yeah,
up.
yeah. You doing arts and crafts, you doing vegan meals, you doing
Yeah,
homemade desserts. Like I'm like, okay, you dancing, talking about beauty, all of this other stuff. So it's good to have that though. We get to see inside of you, and also shows your content creator side. Like we get to
yeah,
see the whole other side of you. So I think that's perfect.
yeah.
I want you to keep going with that because I was binge
Thank
watching.
you.
You're very
Thank you.
your personality is very what's a good word? It's entertainment for me. Cause you're like,
Thank
hey
you.
stallion. So today we're gonna be doing
No, because I feel like, and especially this is for me. I even when people ask me to come maybe speak at a seminar or speak at some of their classes, I don't do a whole lot of that. But when I like for my friends, I'll say, oh, okay, I'll do it or whatever.
right.
And the young women that I meet, even the young men that I meet, you know, it's amazing to me how they don't get I think the real from a lot of celebrities.
Yeah.
They get the, oh yeah, what, you know, when I made it, or it's just, I don't know, it just,
Yeah.
to me it always seems like it's so much like, yeah, you know, it's always everybody has the same answer, everybody has
Right.
the same, almost like the same process. And I'm like, no, you know, this is what's really going on, like, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I try to give a little bit of the insight on like, hey, I'm a real person just like you. I have issues
Exactly.
just like you. I don't, you know. So yeah, so I'm glad that it's being received the way it's being received.
So I wanted to know because I seen in a recent interview, you said that you like Meg the Stallion and you used to gangster rap back in the day. We're gonna get on top of that later. But so is that why you chose the name Stallion for your supporters?
Yeah, well, that's not really why that came
Oh,
about.
okay.
So years ago, I was doing a play, and I was touring with this play, and so people will always mess my name up. People will, you know, people to this day still say
Probably say
Chrystale,
Crystal. Yeah.
and that they say Chrystale. They say Chrystale. They, you know, they just jack it up a little bit. but it's Chrystale, like the champagne. That's how it's pronounced.
Yes.
And so one of the directors on the play, he would always say Crystallian. And I was like, now where'd you get that?
Right.
How'd you get that out of my name? And he was like, you know what? I never even, he said, I know that's not how you pronounce your name. He said, but you built like a stallion. So I just be like Crystallian. And so it caught on with amongst the people in the play. And so they always say Crystallian. So this was, oh my God, I know it had to be like 10 years ago. Because it was the play Man of Her Dreams with Jack A. Harry and Clifton Powell. And so if you go back on my little pitiful Instagram post, because it took me forever to get on Instagram. I wouldn't get on Instagram for years because it was too much for me. I had like stalkers and shit like that. So I was like, I'm not getting on Instagram. I don't understand what's going on with this. I don't know if people can track me on this, you know. So it took me a while to get on Instagram. But when I first got on there, I will always reference stallions before Megan Thee Stallion. But big shout out to her, and she's repping it, and she's a stallion and all of that. You kind of freezing up a little bit, so I'm hearing.
Can you hear me now?
I can.
Okay. Someone asked, how tall are you?
Someone asked how tall am I? Yeah. Okay, it came through. I'm 5'8".
5'8". Okay.
I'm actually only 5'7.5", but because I'm so my presence, no, but I have very broad shoulders. I have a strong presence, and I think that people think I'm a lot taller than I am because of that. I mean, like I said, all this boobage and it's just a lot. It's a lot. So it's a lot coming for you, but no, I'm 5'7.5".
Right. So, as I said, I was doing some research. You actually did a lot in your life. You are.
Oh, I'm sorry. I had to say hi to one of my little best friends I saw coming in. Hi, boo. Okay.
Hey, best friend. So you were an author at one point?
Author? Did you say I'm an author?
Yes.
Is that what you asked me? It's a kind of yeah. See, I have my shirt on, honey. I wrote the book Sexipes, honey. Yes. So and it's a combination of erotic stories and recipes. And the recipes are actually really good recipes that I've tried, that I prepared. And so so my Sexipes shirt. So I wrote it in 2012 is when it came out, but it's one of those books that it never gets old because the recipes never get old and the Sexipes never get old.
Yes.
The little secret up in there. So while y'all quarantining, get you a copy.
Get you a copy because we all need to know what's the Sexipes, okay?
That's right. Somebody said, what is my zodiac sign? I'm Aries.
You're a March Aries, right?
March Aries, yeah.
Okay. I'm a March Pisces, so we probably at least 2 weeks apart.
Mine was March 28th when we were good and into the quarantine. I was so irritated.
Yeah, y'all was deep in quarantine at that time. Yeah, y'all was just at the tip right there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. When is yours?
March 6th.
Okay, all right. So you got to celebrate.
I went to Jamaica. I went to Jamaica. I came back. We was in a whole pandemic. I'm like, wait, what is going on? Oh no.
Yeah.
So what? So before you got into the entertainment industry, you were actually a lawyer.
Not a lawyer. I worked at a law firm as a legal assistant.
So
yep.
Did you want to work towards to being a lawyer, or you were just there just trying to find your way?
No, I actually wanted to become this is what my mama made me think. Because my mother was a teacher and she had been a teacher her whole life. My mom was just a scholar, just one of those brainiacs. And so I always wanted to be in entertainment. But I was like, how can I appease my mom and still do what I want to do? So I said, I could become an entertainment lawyer. That's what I thought. But it was so boring. I was like, this is just creatively stifling.
Yeah, no,
like the most creative thing I did was like implement different highlight colors on like the case files. I'm like, this is for the birds.
So was rapping a part of your side gig? Like, I'm gonna just rap on the side that will make me happy and be creative.
Yeah. So I would just, I would go to people's studios. I would, I knew a lot of the entertainers that, Outkast and all of them, and
Outkast?
Yeah. I mean, like when they first came out, I was like, oh yeah, they're gonna be it. So yeah, so like. And one of my really, really great friends ended up being married to Big Boy, and they're still together, Shalita.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so it's just, I was around it. I had my hand in the post, Goody Mob and all of them, Rico
Wow,
Wade.
that's legendary.
That was my crush, honey. You couldn't tell me I wasn't gonna be with Rico Wade, honey. But so it is what I would do, and I felt at the time I was good, but now I don't know if you guys watch Wild 'N Out, and when Chico Bean when they do that, we're go, hit the dot, and I tease with my husband. I'm like, that's probably how I would sound now.
So was Outkast and Goody Mob, would they be in your sessions while you were recording, or you guys would just like hang out through passing?
No. I just knew them, or I would come and I would be there at the studio when they would be in sessions. Sometimes I would have an opportunity to check them out, but it wasn't. Look, no, honey, I can't front and be like, I ain't gonna play with the people now. I ain't gonna play with the people.
That is hilarious.
Let me say this. Let me be honest now. To be fair, I was good enough to where I could have been. Right. But it was like, the thing about it is they knew that I rhymed, but also it was like, oh, you work at the law firm, and you can do this. You can actually be on this path. You don't have to be out here grinding with us. So it was almost like that thing, like, yo, you go do this because you good at that. And then when the acting thing came, that's what everybody was pushing for me to continue to pursue that. Yeah. So it just, it played out the way it was supposed to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because because I remember you said you were at work, and then you seen that they were doing a casting call, and you never acted before, mm-hmm. right? That happened to me at one point.
I had dibbled and dabbled because in college, that was my minor. Drama was my minor, and so I had a phenomenal drama coach when I was in college, and that's why dude hashtag the force, because he was like always teaching me things like behind the scenes stuff, like, and I would be like, why are you making me do all this stuff behind the scenes? I want to be on the stage. I want to be acting. I want to be, in front of it. He said, let me tell you something. He said, what I'm teaching you, I will make you be invaluable in the industry, because you're not going to always be the one that's in front of the camera. And it's only a small percentage of people who actually become actors and actresses. So if you know these things, it'll make you, if this is what you truly love, you're gonna love to do all of this. And he was absolutely right. Yeah. At the time, I didn't realize it. So then when I started doing those things, he was like, yo, you're like really, really good at this. And I was like, yeah, but it's people that are triple threats. It's people that can sing and dance and act, and I can't sing. I don't have a voice, and I can dance all right, but don't put me in no routine. Yeah. Don't put me in no Beyonce routine.
Oh, we've seen your routine.
Something's gonna happen.
We've seen your routine, okay? You listen. You was
one person, one player. But so he was like, no, you're not. You may not be a triple threat. He said, but you're a force. You're a force to be reckoned with, because anything I show you, you pick up on it quickly. You get it. You go and you run with it. And so that's why I hashtag the force. So I'm like, yeah, I may not be able to sing and dance and all that, but it ain't much I can't do now. You show me one time, I'm taking off.
Did you ever feel intimidated when you were in a room with people who were as skilled, or even probably had a little bit more skills than you? Did you ever feel like, this might not be for me?
I didn't. Not in acting. I didn't feel intimidated, and that's not to be cocky. I think that I I was very nervous, and I still get nervous. I tell people it doesn't matter what I do, it doesn't matter how cool I am with the people that it is that I'm working with. I still get nervous, and it works for me because nervousness makes me make sure I'm prepared. I feel like if you get too, for me, if I get too comfortable, I get too lackadaisical. I may not take it as serious. And so I don't go in it like I gotta kill it. So when I did Players Club, even though I was surrounded by people that were like phenomenal talents, I was so focused on what I was gonna bring to it because I felt like I had so much responsibility being the only person from Atlanta being cast, period. And I was like, I know, and people in LA and a lot of people, and they will remain nameless, but there are some people that were on the cast that were like, you know, before they started filming, like kind of going to Cuba, like, why'd you pick her? Like, who is she? Why would you get this girl from Atlanta to do this? This is a major part and blah, blah, blah. And he was like, look, you know, and I totally always give him credit for this. He stood up for me like, yo, she killed it. Like, y'all don't understand. Yeah. She killed every audition, everything I asked her to do, every time she got direction, she killed it. And I ain't worried about what y'all saying. Like, I know she's going to do what I need her to do with this role. And so I was too focused on that to even worry about anybody else. I didn't even have the time to be intimidated by nobody else because I was just in my script like this. So by the time we started shooting, I knew everybody's lines. Like, I could sit on the side and Cuba look at me and be like, dang, you know that person's part. I'm like, yo, I know the whole script. Who needs the line?
But I think that's why you stand out a lot. Like, you stand out a lot in that movie. Like, I always say, if there was a cultural Oscars, Players Club would be up, and you would probably win Best Supporting Actress because even though you weren't, the movie wasn't surrounded by you, you have the most memorable parts. From you dancing, from you talking to giving advice to Ebony, from you just your whole aura. It was like you knew what you were doing. And I would have never thought that was your first big movie at the time.
Yes. And I think what helped with that too is because, like I said before, Ice Cube just only gave like 4 people in the cast just the freedom. Well, not just, but the comedians, they had the freedom to kind of do what they wanted to do. Mm-hmm. You know, like they could kind of improv and do different things. But as far as actors went, he didn't give anybody that leverage but me. Like, he was like, yo, just go, because you every time, because it was stuff like New Booty. I made that up. Like, he had in there Rookie. What's up, Rookie? And I just was like,
what's up, New Booty?
What's up, New Booty? You know what I'm saying? So, and then like when I'll be like, yo, they want you to do too much. Like, a lot of that I just was rattling off, like, bend over, spread your legs, stick your butt out, backhand bounce. Because nobody had even heard of backhand bounce.
Did you create? You got to use what you got to get what you want.
No, he did write that. He did write that.
Now
that was written.
Everyday life.
Somebody asked how old I was in the Players Club. 27. I think that's what they asked. But yeah, so it was like I said, the bankhead bouncing part.
Yeah.
Because they didn't know that was very new. Like, it was an Atlanta thing. No, it hadn't made it to LA yet, but the Players Club was supposed to be based around Atlanta clubs.
Yeah.
So I just brought a lot of that flavor with me because I had been in Atlanta clubs. I had friends that were strippers. Like I said, I had gone into strip clubs, and I was like, and I remember what my old drama teacher said, like, yo, you gotta study, you gotta know the behind the scenes. If you want to be authentic, if you want it to be real, you gotta kind of know more about that lifestyle. So I was like, okay, they're not gonna have me looking stupid.
Yeah, you had it from the walk to your posture, the way you talk. Like, I would have never thought that you talk like this. Like, you sound like just a nice home Atlanta girl, but in the movie you sounded like that. It's like you the way you talk. I read you white mother. Like, that whole aura is like, you have to be like that when you're in that type of arena and that lifestyle. You have to have that boss bee mentality, you know. Yeah. And I think that's why you kind of remind me of Meg Thee Stallion, because the way your aura was in the movie and the way she talks and her raps is very more like a pimp lifestyle. You have to
Yeah,
you
yeah.
have to kind of pimp to be in that lifestyle to survive.
Oh,
And you knew
and
it.
see, and there's a story about pimps in my book,
Mm-hmm.
Sexipes. that it was a time in my life that I had an infatuation with pimps. I just don't know what it was. I like the glass. I
They
like the
just
glass with a
fly.
drink
Like
out
even
of.
the story behind them is not all of that, but their aura is fly. Like the way they carry themselves.
Yeah, yeah. To this day, as if Shayna's still on here, Shayna, like we would get together every Thanksgiving. You know, we had this ritual. I know how to make gumbo. Like I make gumbo every Thanksgiving because I know that people will be tired of turkey and dressing. So I would be like, okay, well, y'all can have gumbo when you come to my house. So I would make gumbo. So it became like a thing where people like were demanding it. But anyway, so we made gumbo and we have to watch this movie, Willie Dynamite. And it's an old movie about pimps. When I tell you, it's like our favorite. Like it's like we have to do it. Who watches Willie Dynamite, a pimp movie on Thanksgiving? Me and her.
Yes.
Funny.
So if they ever did a remake of the Players Club in 2020, who do you see as the full cast?
You know, oh God, that's a hard one. That's a hard one, but I think I would say Megan Thee Stallion would be Ronnie. She could be Ronnie. I
Mm-hmm.
think Cardi B could be Diamond. Not because she was that.
Mm-hmm.
The only reason I say that I just because of the path that Cardi took. I guess I don't know. I don't know what
Yeah.
makes me feel. I just feel like I see those two doing something.
Right.
Who would be Blue?
I could see I was thinking I had to put my own little thought. I was
Let's
thinking
hear it.
Lil
Let's hear it.
Duval could be the bouncer.
Yes,
He would be
yes, I
perfect for
agree.
that role. You know, they
Mhm.
both short, they both funny, and Lil Duval always was like the bouncer in certain like movies and videos. So I think he'd be perfect for
Yeah,
that. Mm-hmm. But
I would see DJ Young Fly could be Blue.
yes,
Could be Young Fly.
we might as well cast the whole Wild 'N Out. We might as well cast the whole Wild 'N Out for that movie.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
you need
But I just
characters.
don't know. I promise for the life of me, I'm like, who could even do Dollar Bill? I don't know. I don't
Yeah,
know
it
who
has
that
to
would
be
be.
somebody like he's authentic. Like he's somebody you cannot
I know.
replace. He was so authentic. The way he
I
talked.
just think it would have to be like he just went off and he just never got out of jail. And it would just have to be a whole different character vibe or something. I don't know because I just
Yeah.
don't know who it would be.
Yeah,
I
they
just know who
tried
that
to. They remade another. It wasn't like the Players Club. It was the movie called Hustlers. It was a cool movie, but it didn't stick culturally like the Players Club did. I don't think
was.
another
Okay.
movie would be made like that. Like Ice Cube really, yeah, from the outside looking in. I know you only seen it a couple of times, but like people who grew up watching it, like it stuck with the
Yeah.
culture indefinitely. From like even when I see women who have platinum blonde hair, they look like how you looked in the movie, like Ronnie, like
Yeah.
they stood out.
Yeah.
So I don't think that would even be. I think that movie is just so culturally in our culture. I mean, that movie is so stuck in our culture that we probably can't even remake it.
Yeah, I think that's why I think the Players Club is definitely one of those films that shouldn't be remade. I don't
Mm-mm.
think it should be a remake. It should just be left alone because it's just a cult classic. It just is. Just bam, leave it alone.
Yeah.
So, but if it was like, say, like if it was a part two or something, I could see them doing a part two, a follow up, like, oh, okay, and then bringing in maybe a new generation of actors and actresses to do maybe a remake, but
Right.
not a remake, but a part two, because
Mm-hmm.
it took Ice Cube like 10 years, I think, before he did a Friday part two. But this
Yeah.
22 years, honey.
Right. Right.
Walking 22.
Yes.
No.
So I gotta ask you, which between Ice Cube and Tyler Perry, they both gave black people, they both gave newcomer actors and newcomer actors roles in their movies. I hope I'm saying this correctly. Which director film would you rather watch between Ice Cube and Tyler Perry?
Ice Cube
Yeah, I would go
and
Ice
Period.
Cube too. I would go Ice Cube too.
Ice Cube. But let me say this. Let me say I have my own feelings about Tyler Perry. I've worked with Tyler when he was doing plays. I can never ever, like, I can't, it's a historical fantastic, phenomenal thing that he has built the largest studio, the people that he employs, how he just really worked himself up to this position. I can't say enough about that. Like, I'm super duper proud of him, proud that a Black man did that, and that that I have been able to live to see it. Definitely. So, like, it's not no shade towards, like, I'm proud of Tyler Perry, but I personally, I'm not a fan of a lot of his stuff. That's just me. You know what I mean? Now, I like Sisters. Now, that show, I love that show. I love the actors and everything on it. I like the storyline. But that's one of the few things that I've been able to watch and enjoy that Tyler has done. That's like the only thing, I think, ever.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And I think Ice Cube had a little bit more time in the game to create classics, and he had a little bit. His movies he didn't throw out as much content as Tyler Perry. Tyler Perry has way more content, so it's kind of hard to really catch up on all his things. Versus Ice Cube has a bunch of films that we probably all seen as a family, and we know we know lines from Friday. We know lines from Friday after the next. Lines from next Friday. We seen him in Boys in the Hood. Yeah. So he's been a part of different classics, and I think that's why it's easier for us to say Ice Cube. But I agree with you.
I think this is my opinion, because I work with both of them. Tyler doesn't really like for you to. He writes something and he really likes for you to stick to his script that he wrote. And that's because he tries to crunch a whole lot into a short amount of time. He like works you. And so, he doesn't allow a lot of space for you to bring your own vibe to your character. So that's why a lot of his characters seem very one-dimensional, and that's why a lot of his films and television shows, it's like they all look the same, kind of sound the same, feel the same, have that same kind of pace to it.
Yeah.
Whereas Ice Cube is very much like, all right, so look, because in this scene right here, you gonna be mad. Action. And you'll be like, all right, and he's like, is that like, what are you going to bring to it? I'm going to give you the skeleton, and I want you to put meat on the bones. But Tyler is very much like, here it is, everything, how I want it to look, how I want it to sound, how I want it to go, and don't go outside of that. Like, to the point, like, he will get mad, like what I wrote. That's not what I want you to do. So I think that's probably also the difference. That Cube allows for those moments, those classic moments.
So I have some questions from the audience before we move to my next series of questions. But someone wanted to know, was there a hidden message the cast wanted to invoke in this movie and to the Players Club?
What happened?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, it's something. Report comment keeps popping up on my screen.
Oh, okay. Someone wanted to know.
It's probably my huh?
Can you hear me now? Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Someone wanted to know, was there a hidden message in the Players Club in the movie?
Okay. No, it was really straightforward. Really straightforward. Yeah. Yep. It wasn't. No hidden message. No hidden agenda.
Yes. So, like I was saying before, you seem like you're in good spirits. How was your healing process? I remember back in 2016, Ayala had a show, and you were very open and transparent. And I'm becoming a little more transparent as I'm getting older. I'm trying to figure out why I have all this trauma built up in me. So this is a personal question for me. How did you begin to have a healing process within yourself?
Oh wow. That it really was. It was a journey, and it helped me a lot to open up. Like I used to be very, very closed, very private, very to myself. I still have a certain level of privacy. However, talking about things and knowing that you're not alone and you're not the only one going through something like that helps. And but we all have our own little personal journey, and it's about, I guess, pinpointing what is it that is causing you that pain, and then having that dialogue with the right person, because you can have that dialogue with the wrong person and it'll take you deeper into into your shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I'm an advocate for just, talking to the right people. And for me, it was talking to a life coach initially, Jennifer Lester, who's a fabulous, phenomenal life coach that helped me start the process to even have the nerve to go on Ayala. Because when I tell you, if I had not talked to Jennifer, I would not have gone on Ayala, because I thought I was fine. Yeah. I thought I was good. And I think what was keeping me sick is that very thing, thinking you're okay, not really addressing things, not really dealing with things, not really confronting the problem, just saying, oh, okay, I'm good though, I'm good, not crying, not that scream I let out it was probably a scream that I had held in, just making people think that I was good, just being good for other people, but not being good for myself, and not being good to myself, because I was living a lie in the sense that I wasn't good. I was pissed off. I was irritated. I was annoyed. I felt like I had been cheated out of a lot of shit. I felt like people would, not being respectful to me, but I wasn't voicing it, and I wasn't stopping people and saying to them, and it's a way that you can deliver that message without going off. Yeah. And I had to learn that. That's what I had to learn, because I would let stuff build up. Then you get Chrissy kaboom. You know what I'm saying? Because I didn't stop people when they start the disrespectful stuff, like, hey, listen, that's not going to really work for me. That may be the way that you are accustomed to doing stuff, but if we're going to move forward in whatever it is, if it's a relationship, if it's a business, if it's a film, if whatever it is, if you get it together, get the terms together up front, then you don't have as many issues, And sometimes people may say, you know what, and if that's how you feel, I don't want to work with you, and it is a blessing in disguise. At the time, it doesn't feel like that. It feels like, well, damn. Yeah. But trust me. Honey, it is a blessing. Yeah, it is a blessing.
Yes.
So yeah, it's a process, but like you saying, you're wondering why you're carrying so much pain, that's you acknowledging it, and that is a big, major step. Because I was in denial. I was like, pain? Bitch, you tripping.
Right. Especially, I think, for as you and I both being Black women, we go through so much changes in our lives, especially with it's so many things that you are not aware to, especially because I was watching the news and just reading up on a lot of things on social media. A lot of women have experienced sexual assault and didn't know that it was sexual assault related. So I have moments I have to sit back like, wow, that I've been in a situation. I'm like, wow, I never called this situation out because I didn't know that it was sexual assault. I just know that this man made me feel uncomfortable. So did you ever have a moment where you was and even if you were in the industry, out of the industry, if you were younger and you felt somebody coming on to you too strong, did you ever feel in that moment that you didn't have a voice?
So crazy, because I don't want to seem like I keep pitching my book, but in my book, I talk about that, how I just wish that I could be this fairy to go around and change so many women's first experience, because just in talking to women, even my friends, I was like, it's such a high percentage of Black women who lost their virginity so unpleasantly. Fortunately, I wasn't one of those people. It didn't go down for me like that. Now, to address the second part of your question, have I ever been in this situation where I felt like I didn't have a voice? I always knew I had a voice. However, I have been in situations where I felt in danger. I still said something. I still spoke up. I still like, yo, this is fucked up. Like this is not how this is supposed to go. But I was in dangerous situations.
Yeah.
And it just was the grace of God that got me out unviolated. And in one situation, I came out, but I was a little battered and bruised up, but I got out and I wasn't sexually assaulted. And then in another one was with an entertainer, and sometimes entertainers feel like because they have a certain status that everybody wants them. Like, like, oh, of course you want me. No, I don't want you. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you may be famous, you may have money, but you're still ugly, and I don't want you, and I'm not attracted to you.
Speak on it.
Yeah, and
that's the issue.
It's just that simple. And I just had to break it down to him, like, look, and I mean, it was like, yo, listen, you can have all these women that want you. Why are you doing this to me? What? And the fact that I don't want you, how are you going to leave here feeling if this goes down? So it almost like an eye-opening thing for him as well. He was almost like, damn, she's right. Like, and I mean, I just talked, girl. I had to come up with some shit, and it worked.
You have this feeling like you are ugly. Yes, I am not attracted to you. Just because you have a little money doesn't mean I want you. I
don't want you.
Yeah, just because you have the power, you're so used to women throwing themselves on you. It's an issue that I am now saying no. Why are you upset that I don't want you? Some people think that you're entitled to give them what they want.
Yes.
You're not entitled.
And they're not. And I think as women, because I was scared. I was nervous to say something, but I'm so glad that I did. And I think that that's a message that needs to be out there, is like, speak up for yourself, because if you already in a situation, either it's gonna happen or but at least you spoke up. If it's gonna happen or it's not, one way or the other. Yeah. But at least if you speak up and you say something and take that chance to try to say and talk your way out, like, look, this is not how this is supposed to go down. I don't want you. You can have anybody. This is not gonna look good for you. This is not gonna feel good to you, because I'm not for you.
Yeah.
So he's like, oh damn, yeah, shit, okay, yeah,
because they'll say stuff. You'll get in situations. I'm a dancer as well, so I do all different types of dances. I'll get around, probably guy friends, and they'll have a little drink, one or two, and they'll get comfortable with asking me, oh, let me see that little dance that you do. Like, what? Did anybody ever try to disrespect you with saying that? Like, oh, I seen the Players Club. Let me see what Ronnie can do.
Oh yeah. That's a regular. Oh, let do that dance you did. Let me see you get naked or whatever. Especially when it was, went right after it came out.
Yeah.
It's like every appearance that I did, every club that I went to, it was always gonna be somebody that was gonna make some comment that was gonna be on the verge of being inappropriate. But this is what I will say. It comes with the territory. It doesn't make it right. It doesn't, but for me, I don't get, when people say crazy things, I don't get too offended, because you can say what you want to say. Yeah. Don't put your hands on me. Don't try me. And don't come into, don't be too in my space. That's when it crosses the line. I don't mind people saying, oh, look, you got a fat ass. You okay? You're right. I do. I'm not going to, you know what I'm saying?
You see it though? You see it. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, and I get it. It's like, and some people that'd be their form of compliment. Like some people, that's just they thing. So I'm a strong enough woman in saying that, like, hey, I'm cool. I'm not trying to desensitize men to say and be who they are. But don't get too aggressive and don't grab me, don't touch me. That's when it's over into another thing. But that people say
anything,
things all the time.
anything, just to speak. But I want to thank you for speaking with me, and I want to open the floor. No, because I love interviewing people like you who actually have words to say.
Thank you.
No, but I wanted to open the floor to some viewers. I said a lot of people have questions, especially about your book and your career in general. If that's okay, if you're open to answering anything else, anybody's questions besides my own.
Okay.
But yes, they wanted to know where can they get you. Okay, go ahead.
I'm just looking to see if they had any other questions in here. Because my screen did something crazy for a minute. So, okay. Do I still talk to Lisa Ray? When necessary. Mizu Gangster Boo, were you in Ronnie type of character? Yes. In the video with Gangster Boo, who I adore, I was in a Ronnie type character-ish. They wanted me to have a blonde wig and do all of this. I just started with a life coach. Best investment ever. Okay, amen. Let's see what else we have.
Oh, you can buy her book on Amazon. I'm going to.
Yes. And let me say this.
How do you spell it? I'm gonna pin the comment.
Huh?
How do you spell it? I'm gonna pin the comment for them.
It's Sexipes. But you have to say sex after that. You gotta say Sexipes and recipes. Because somebody then wrote a Sexipes book after me, and so their book comes up. It's stupid. So you gotta put Sexipes, and recipes. But it's linked in my on my Instagram. Also.
Okay.
I think.
So someone said, how did you open up for NWA?
Oh,
they just put me on. I had no idea you did that.
Yeah. So I was raised in Northern California. And so I was living in Sacramento, and this when I was in my rapping days, honey.
Yes.
And so I would go to the studio where E40 and all of those guys used to record. And so basically I had this group. Well, it was at the time it was just me and another girl, and we would call Twice as Nice. And we had with the song called "You Gotta Let Them Know When It's Good to Go." Chef. That's a nice song, honey. And so we had our little video. And so when they came to Northern, because they were from LA, when they came to do shows, they were always, in different towns, just like now they would have an opening act. And so our manager at the time had put us on to do to open for them when they came to Sacramento. I never believe they did Oakland and one other city, maybe Vallejo. So we did like we opened up and for them in like 3 shows. We were all excited. Needless to say, our mothers were like, NWA, what does that stand for? And when they heard the music, they were like horrified.
Yeah, I bet.
My poor mother.
So
that is how it went down.
Was that when Ice Cube was in NWA?
Yes. And so here's the story about that. So even though we opened for NWA, and being Eazy-E remained friends, like it was crazy because we remained friends even when I moved back to Atlanta. And so Eazy stayed cool. But Ice Cube, he was always kind of to himself. So even though he had met me when I was a teenager, when I met him again, he didn't remember me from that. And I kept trying to remind him because when I initially went to the audition, girl, I was trying to get me a record deal. I wasn't even trying to be lying.
Okay, secure the bag anyway.
I heard he had got him a record label started. So at the time, he had started this record label called Heavyweight Records.
Oh, yeah.
And so I was like, if I can get back in front of Ice Cube, I'm gonna remind him about Twice as Nice and how I opened up these shows for them, and then I'm gonna get him my songs, and then I had this whole plan, right? So when even though I knew how to act, and when I went to the audition, it was so not my intention on really getting a role. That my intention was to get in front of Ice Cube, give me a record.
Wow. And you got You got the part after 4 auditions. So I mean, your part lasted longer than you think. Ronnie's character lives longer than I don't know.
Yeah,
could have lived longer than probably a record deal. So I don't think.
And that's why I was like, Yeah, he doesn't have that label anymore, so it lasted longer than that label. But it probably longer than my record would have lasted if that was the route that I went.
But you were
So,
using your
but the
networking
thing about
skills.
it,
That's all that matters. You was using your networking skills.
but no, but that's why when I first got this is another thing about speaking up for yourself and standing up for yourself. Because when I first got cast for it, like I said, I was the only person from Atlanta, and people would just always try to say, "Oh, you went and cast this stripper from Atlanta. She's a stripper from Atlanta," and I was too like I said, I just too focused one on trying to just do the role. I was nervous, and I was nervous about speaking up and saying no, that's not what it was. So I let certain people run with that story, and I'm like, that's not what happened. And I remember Q coming and saying to me, he was like, listen, this is gonna last you about a year. You got about a year to really ride this thing out and do what you're gonna do with it. Because it's gonna be the release, then it's gonna die down, then you're gonna it's gonna come on to video.
Yeah.
Back then, you had a blockbuster and
VHS.
all that.
Yep.
He's like, it's gonna get on video. And he said, and then it's gonna come out again and it's gonna be on TV. He said, so these are the times that you're gonna hit. He said, but you gotta put out there what it is that you want people to really know and remember about you. And I just, people in LA, girl, they had agents and managers and all the publicists and stuff. I was from Atlanta. I was like, I didn't know anything about any of that. So I didn't have representation. I was representing myself. So it was him that came to me and even went through my contract with me. Wow. Like that, when I say that's good, like people don't do that. Like him being a producer, he could have just totally taken advantage of me, just like pay me a little bit of money and just be like, I ain't worried about what happens to her after this. But he really went through my contract with me, helped me to understand it, because he knew I didn't have representation. So it was some of that when people say, well, what happened to her? Why didn't she take off more? Why didn't she get more roles? A lot of it was because you have to have a team. It's really important to have a team and have people that are out there to know how to negotiate, know the people to talk to, know who has projects coming out and all of that, to be able to say, I have this new talent and she's hot and you need to see her. But people just were under the impression at the Players Club that I was just this stripper from Atlanta and that I just played myself. They didn't know I was really truly an actress who had really coined that character. So nobody was really trying to fuck with me on nothing else, because they were like, nah, we not about to have a stripper be the doctor. Right. We not about to have a stripper be the mother. We not about to have so it was this whole thing, and it took so many years for me to try to break free of that,
yes.
of that, what that was. You know what I'm saying? So,
No, I'm happy that you said that, because it's a different world back then. Now, if people don't have representation, they have their social media, which that's their personal resume. So back then, you really needed someone to get on the phone and say, look, I want to book my client for this audition. Can I do this? Can I do that? You can have the actor. You could be as talented as you wanted. Like you said, if you don't have the team pushing you, how far can you go? During that time, it was different, So I commend you for even speaking up on that, because a lot of people always have their speculations, but they don't know. So
they don't know. Yeah. And it was tough. And it was one of those times when you say, I went through certain things where I was like, I felt cheated. I felt, I just felt cheated. I felt cheated out of a lot of opportunities, because I was like, yo, I'm just as good as this person. I'm just as good as that person. And I deserve these opportunities, but nobody was really in my corner like that, and so it was a lot of me doing it myself, and you can only get so far sometimes when you, especially like you said back then, because you didn't have this platform that you have now.
Someone wanted to know any tips for managing your time.
Managing my time?
Yes.
Honey, I just take my time. No. I am a really awesome manager of time. Like, I am a type of person that I get about 4 or 5 really kind of awesome things done throughout the day. That's just why, because what people don't know is, like, right now I work behind the scenes. I work behind the scenes a lot. And so I work behind the scenes of production, and I have for years. I just finished a project called The Underground Railroad that's going to be on Amazon Prime. And so what I do is I buy like anything that you see, anything that you may see you might be like, damn, where did they get that purple unicorn with the yellow rainbow? I would be the one that had find that or find somebody to build that or make that. That's what I do for production now. So I'm so used to moving quickly and managing my time. I don't even know. I can't even just put together or like say, hey, this is what you do. You just got to be wise enough to say, all right, look, I got to allocate this amount of space for myself, this for my work. I will say this might be helpful to somebody. What I remember writing down a couple years ago, I said, every day I want to do something for myself, something for my money, and something for somebody else. So that's how I go throughout the day. And I still do that to this day. Like I might say, oh, okay, it's a friend and she asked me if I would help her to pick out a paint color for, I'm gonna make sure that day I'll do something for her. I do something for myself, whether it be like, oh, I'm gonna paint my toenails today, because now we're in quarantine. It's just a minimum. And then I do something that is going to help me generate money.
I love that. Yes. Let me see if we got any more questions. Is any of your old music on YouTube?
No. No. How about I have how about I have a song? And because of the quarantine, I've been cleaning out and I've been finding all kinds of stuff. Like today I posted a cooking video and I had the actual shot glasses that they use in the Players Club, in the actual club.
Wow.
I still have the playing cards, the Players Club playing cards. I keep everything. So I'm like an archive, honey. But so I was cleaning out my garage, going through all these different trunks and chests and everything. And so I ended up pulling out a box. And I'm like, what's in this box? How about it was some cassette tapes? Y'all probably don't even know what cassette tapes are.
We know what cassette tapes. Yeah, we know.
How about it's a cassette tape with my group on there? And I was like, damn. I was like, I want to listen to this. And I actually have a boom box. I have a boom box because I'm that person that have a boom box. How about it still works, but the cassette tape part, for those of us who were around when the cassette tape was out, we know that'd be the first part to go out and you be pissed because you're like, damn, my cassette tape part was... So the cassette tape part does not work. So I'm like, I gotta find a cassette tape player so I can listen to these songs because I know
it's probably something so funny on there. I used to when we was younger, because we didn't before there was any like obviously like any devices like iPods and stuff like that. My cousins and I would record the music on the radio. And so, and you could sometimes you have to be very quiet because it picks up every sound. So we used to sit there right in front of the radio, like, all right, at this mark right here, we're gonna stop and then we're gonna play it back. Like,
and you'd be mad when like the DJ come in and stuff. You'd be like, yeah, you shut up.
And I live in New York. I grew up in New York. Funk Master Flex. He'd be like, he'll start speaking. He'll be breathing.
Do the whole thing.
I don't want to hear that.
Right. Hey, this is great. Hey, man. I was trying to hear that part. But yeah, so I found a cassette tape, and how about I found a video that I have on VHS?
Oh, a music video?
Me and my little group on twice a night.
You have to, can you please post that for Throwback Thursday? You have to post it for Throwback Thursday.
I just don't know. I'm going to have to get my nerve up. I'm going to have to get my nerve up. But it's funny. It's definitely funny. Yeah. So look, I might do that. I've been telling Instagram I need to get my blue check. They be trying to be funny.
Oh, we gonna figure that out for you because I got some friends over at Instagram. I need to get my blue check too. But before we go,
that's because I had too many fake pages. Too many people had started fake pages, so it's like they're still trying to be like, is that really you? I'm like, really?
We got 40 seconds left, but before we go, I wanted to know if you could just give us one song that you remember from back then that you recorded.
A song from back then I remember. Oh God, Egyptian Lover. Egyptian lover, sexy senior, not just a friend. Now that is an old one, old one.
Oh
And the
my
beat goes
God.
boom, 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 boom.
I
Honey,
love it.
the
Thank
age.
you so much for speaking with me. I'm very humble for this
Welcome.
experience.